Hey guys, my name is Adrienne. Welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a investing 101 type video. I know I've done one or two of these before, but I'm just gonna go over some basic investing principles because I want to show you guys how investing is really not scary, especially during a time like this. You may think that the stock market is very volatile during the coronavirus time. In this time, I think a lot of people are talking about stock market, how it's collapsing, or if it's a good time or not a good time to invest. I just want to go over some terms so that you're more informed if you ever hear things like this. You can't tell already by the title, we're going to be going over what a dividend is. So I'm going to read the actual definition of a dividend. A dividend is the distribution of reward from a portion of the company's earnings and is paid to a class of its shareholders. So basically, when you purchase a stock in a company, depending on the company that you're buying into, the company may pay a dividend out to its shareholders. But it's important to know that not all companies pay a dividend back to its shareholders. But to give you a better idea of what a dividend is, let's say you purchase 100 shares of company X, and last year company X took in a big profit that they weren't really expecting, so they had a surplus amount of money. So there's a few things that the company can do with the money. You can reinvest the money back into the company, which I think is really what a lot of people think companies do. But one of the other things that companies can do is to give that money back to its shareholders in the form of a dividend. So you can think of a dividend as a nice thank you gift from the company that you've invested in. It also really helps to raise shareholder morale. Dividends are typically paid out in a fixed amount based on how many shares you own. Some dividends may be paid out in the form of cash, or they may be paid out and reinvested back into the company automatically. It kind of just depends on the company. So if a company does pay a dividend, it's typically paid at the end of each quarter, and income tax must be paid by the shareholder upon receiving the dividend. So I mentioned before that not all companies pay out a dividend. Typically you'll find that companies that pay out a dividend are well-established companies, mostly because they don't need to be reinvesting that money automatically back into the business. A lot of tech or growing companies oftentimes don't pay out a dividend, especially if they're new, because they need to reinvest that money back into the business. But there is a website called dividend.com, and you can search for companies that do pay a dividend and how much the dividend is. One of the highest paying dividend stocks that I own for an individual company is Exxon. Exxon, at the time of me filming this, pays out a dividend of 5.06%. And because Exxon is such an established company, it's very unlikely that that dividend is ever going to go away. Even now, when the demand for oil is negative because no one is driving. A lot of times an average Joe looking to get into investing will look at the stock price as an indication to how well the stock will do over time. But a smart investor, which is what I want you guys to be, will look at the dividend payout as well as many other aspects of the stock. And that's because the dividend payout can say a lot about a company. Just because a dividend is high doesn't mean buying the stock is a good idea. There are times when corporations will pay out a higher dividend just because the stock is not doing well. So just be careful when you purchase a stock to look at the dividend, but also look at the bigger picture. If the dividend looks good, but everything else looks bad, it's probably not a good idea to buy the stock. One thing that my dad always taught me about investing is that if you can get to a point where you can live solely on the dividends, that's a pretty good point to be at in the investing world, because you're not even living off of the growth of your investments, you're living off of the dividends of your investments. So that's all I have today. Thank you guys for watching. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing below to support my channel, and let me know what other videos you'd like to see, or if there are any other financial terms or anything that you guys are confused about. I'd love to help and explain and show you that financial literacy is really not as hard as the pros make it out to be. So I hope you guys have a great day. Bye. My dog is out the door. Hey.